Hello everyone. I really appreciate you all for attending today's Authenticate APAC Innovation Summit. Shankar Ramaswamy, co-chair and individual contributor to Fido India Working Group. I'm going to be talking about how Aadhaar and FIDO authentication can coexist. What is Aadhaar? UIDAI, Unique Identification Authority of India. It's a statutory body established under the provisions of Aadhaar Act 2016 by Government of India under the Ministry of Electronic and Information Technology, METI, a parent body which is under the Aadhaar Act 2016. UIDAI was created to issue unique identity called Aadhaar to residents of India. As on March 31st, 2021, the authorities have issued more than 128 crores of Aadhaar numbers to residents of India. UIDAI is responsible for enrollment, authentication, including operations, management of all stages of Aadhaar life cycle, developing policies, procedures, systems for issuing numbers to individual, and perform authentication and security of the information. So all of this is governed by the Aadhaar Act and the Aadhaar body. So they are responsible for having complete information secure. All of this comes under them. Now let's understand the ecosystem in a broad sense. The ecosystem has two things: enrollment and upgrade, and authentication. So these are the two parts of Aadhaar UIDAI ecosystem. So now enrollment. The enrollment consists of registrars and enrollment agencies. So who are registrars? Now registrars are typically government departments, state agencies who interact or interface with people. They are undertaking, there are multiple people who are registrars. Now the registrars appoint enrollment agencies. Now the enrollment agencies are responsible for collecting biometric information of individuals during enrollment process. So they collect a lot of things: biometric, finger, demographic information. All of this are collected during the process. Now they act in coordination with the registrars. The fingerprint scanner, the iris scanner, the cameras, all are certified by STQC and UIDAI. And all connections are to the Aadhaar ecosystem are application standard API based. So there is no set of information leak that happens anywhere. So the enrollment agencies collects all the information. The registrars are the people who follow the process for or set up the entire ecosystem for collecting of information. Now the most important part where we are going to come, the authentication part. The authentication has been set up scalable for instant authentication of the residents. The UIDAI has services provided online and in real time. The authentication is real time. The authentication, it can be used for eKYC and all of these information. The UIDAI has set up 2 data centers where authentication on all the services are being in a very active, and it can be scalable aspect. It handles millions of authentication on a daily basis, and it can be scaled on demand. The UIDAI has appointed authentication service agencies, authentication user agencies for various government and non-government organizations. Banks, payment network operators have embedded Aadhaar into their micro ATM to provide branchless banking anywhere across the country, real-time, scalable, and interoperable. So you're able to you're able to do a eKYC, authentication of the residents on a real-time basis. So what is this authentication, UIDA authentication all about? UIDA offers the authentication as a service, which can be availed by requesting entities. They can be government, public, private agencies which can be use the Aadhaar authentication. This service from UIDA can be utilized by requesting entities to authenticate the identity of a customer, employees, other associates based on personal identity information before providing various services across. So it can be a bank, it can be your government employees, it can be your attendants, anything that can be used, Aadhaar can be used for. Aadhaar has multiple uses across this country. Aadhaar authentication is to provide a digital online identity platform so that the identity of the Aadhaar number holder can be validated instantly at any time, anywhere. So the punchline that I would put it across is it's a digital identity platform where authentication happens instant for the Aadhaar identity number anytime, anywhere. Now, there are multiple modes of authentication based on the service request that you have. There are 4 modes that the Aadhaar authentication has defined. The one is demographic information. Name, gender, address, date of birth. That can be passed to the Aadhaar. It will revert an yes or a no. The CDR will match it against the database and give you a result. The other is simple Aadhaar number. SMS OTP or a OTP can be sent over SMS or an email, and the authentication can happen of the Aadhaar holder. A simple. No information is collected. The other is Aadhaar and the biometrics which is there. Aadhaar number, your biometrics, which is like your iris or a finger scan that has been collected, matched against and again combined. The 4th mode that is there is a combination of these services. A combination of demographics, a combination of demographic with SMS OTP, a combination of demographics with iris. So it can be used for various, depending on the kind of service, kind of authentication that you want, kind of eKYC that you are looking at. So now, in this portion, where we are going to be looking at is the SMS OTP, the challenge that is there, the delivery across SMS OTP, the channel, be it email or the OTP sent to your registered phone. Now, FIDO can be a solution where we could replace on the Aadhaar front, where FIDO, when used on a registered device, can provide you a single gesture position-based authentication. It's an open standard, simpler, stronger authentication using public key cryptography. So Aadhaar plus FIDO, where in the Aadhaar, where in the portion that you are using SMS OTP, FIDO can be used as an alternative for those registered devices. How FIDO works? FIDO works in a very simple PKI concept. It's a PKI without the issuance process. So the user validates himself to the device. That's by a single gesture, be it PIN, be it your face, your iris, be it any of thing that he identifies to the device. The device to the server is a challenge response that happens. It's a signed response and the user gets. It's a modern auth where there is nothing that's stored on the server. So the authenticator cannot be tricked by phishing, no secrets that are stored on the server, and there is nothing for the user to remember or being sent across or any of those things. So it's gesture based, it's frictionless. You're able to authenticate the user instead of sending him an SMS on his phone, mobile, and something gets hacked on. Here there is nothing of those things available. So how FIDO works? So FIDO basically works on mobile as an authenticator, or like a hard token or a chip, any of things. So the authenticator is where the keys are stored, The TPM stores the keys. The user identifies himself using his biometrics, his face, it can be his voice, it can be a PIN, any of thing to identify himself to the authenticator. The authenticator in turn does the FIDO authentication to the server. So it's a modern auth without the use of passwords. FIDO again is cross-platform compliant with your Windows, compliant with your Android, compliant with your iOS. It can work on any of the browsers. All browsers are certified, be it Chrome, be it your Safari, or your Mozilla Firefox. All the browsers are certified. It can be even a simple things like Windows Hello provides you with a FIDO authentication. So it's cross-platform. It doesn't depend on any of the platform. It is purely a simple authentication where your services can be offered across. Now, what are the use cases around this? Now, FIDO, the UIDI authentication. Now, when you look at it, the UIDI services can be increased across using FIDO because the reliability is on the devices. It's based on cryptography. The key stays on the device. There is nothing that is stored on the server. There is no third-party protocol. You're not using anything that can be stolen. Biometrics never leaves the device. No link between the services that is offered. So you are able to build a solution which it is not relying on the career path. There is nothing that is there like SMS being delivered or your email getting hacked. None of these things is there. It is purely relying on what you have and what you know. So you to device is a strong authentication that is happening. That is your PIN, password, whatever it is. The device to server is the cryptographic which is happening, a cryptographic challenge response. So it's completely a cryptographic base. There's nothing that leaves the device. You can't extract the keys out of the TPM. So these are standard based. So there is nothing that I write a protocol or something. These are standard based technologies and nobody can extract this information. So in short, I would put it a very simple. The FIDO authentication can solve a lot of problems around complex passwords. It's gesture based, works commonly across all devices. So we saw that it is universally accepted. Android, iOS, be it the browsers, they're all easily, and the authenticator is it's the smartphone that you keep carrying. If you want levels of authentication, then you have these hard tokens that come in. So there is nothing that is saved on the server. It's fast and convenient. So when we look at this ecosystem where we are using millions of transactions, millions of authentications happening, the SMS delivery is going to be a challenge. And we could look at probably FIDO as one of the standards of authentication where FIDO can solve cross-platform authentication, one. The FIDO can solve the reliability on delivery of SMS Otp. The challenges that we face around SMS not being delivered, SMS delivered to wrong number, all of this can be mitigated. So it removes things like man-in-the-middle attack. It is again a TPM based where the keys are in the trusted party module. There is no phishing attack possible. So each of these things can be mitigated. So something that is there where we know, what we have, we are able to provide all the concepts around FIDO. FIDO offers a very fast and convenient form of authentication, and it reduces the reliance on the passwords. So tomorrow when we look at it, when we are doing a transaction with a bank or with a let's say online eKYC that we need to provide, it can be as simple as 2 clicks away. You're just giving up you're putting your PIN on the phone and the authentication has happened. It reduces the reliance. It reduces the reliance on SMS being delivered. My SMS didn't come across to me. These are the challenges that gets mitigated. FIDO accomplishes a lot of things because again, it works across you've lost your device, you have replaced your device. It's simple, like re-enroll and reissue the credentials. So you are able to do away with the passwords that is being known, the password challenges across, the SMS not being delivered. You're able to mitigate the risk, the challenges that are there around this area. So in short, I would put it across that it reduces everything around passwords. FIDO solves the problem on the storage of passwords, remembering of passwords, complex passwords, SMS OTP is not being delivered. We solve all of these problems. FIDO can completely eliminate the concept of password. So that's why it's passwordless. Thank you. Thank you. This brings me to the end of the presentation. Thank you for listening. I would really appreciate, in case you have any queries or something, you can write back and I could revert back to you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank you. Signing off, Shankar.